President Donald Trump has knocked the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell for what he expected would be a decision not to lower interest rates. He added that the man he put in the role during his last term had done a poor job. Trump, speaking to reporters at the White House, mused about appointing himself to lead the U.S. Central Bank. He noted that the country is taking care of the debt ceiling issue. Trump further highlighted that Apple is going to buy a lot of Trump gold cards. He expressed the need for China to bless the TikTok deal and that they are going to have a trade deal with India. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced plans to significantly increase the Department of Defense's budget, pledging $62 billion specifically to strengthen nuclear capabilities. Speaking on Capitol Hill at a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing today, Hegseth stated the country is rapidly restoring its military manufacturing capabilities. He affirmed that the U.S. will defend its assets in the region, adding that the Defense Department is working in cooperation with the Department of Homeland Security to achieve its budget goals.
As is custom with first-year administration budget releases, additional time was necessary.
The U.S. Senate has passed a bill to create a regulatory framework for U.S. dollar-pegged cryptocurrency tokens known as stable coins. The bill, dubbed the Genius Act, received bipartisan support, with several Democrats joining most Republicans to back the proposed federal rules. The bill passed with a 68-30 vote. On a more global scale, the United Nations Trade and Development Agency Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan has expressed concern that the organization's work will be hampered even as demand for its services increase due to the extensive tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Greenspan noted that she and her team proposed cutting 70 out of approximately 500 posts for UNCTAD's 2026 budget. She described this significant reduction as painful, highlighting the substantial number of positions eliminated by one budget cycle. Greenspan further cautioned that these cuts would constrain the organization's capabilities and overall functions.
It really will constrain the organization. No way to disguise this.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has announced that the recent surge in energy prices has diminished the immediate need to lower the G7's price cap on Russian oil exports. Von der Leyen explained that the current market conditions mean the existing $60 cap is now having a more significant impact.
Very clear. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We have voiced our...
British inflation eased to an annual rate of 3.4% in May, down from 3.5% in April, matching economist expectations. The Office for National Statistics noted that an earlier error in car tax data had overstated April's inflation. While inflation saw a leap in April due to the higher utility prices and taxes, the ongoing conflict in the Middle East and its impact on oil prices poses a renewed risk of price pressures, complicating the central bank's path forward. The Bank of England, which had also projected a 3.4% reading for May, is widely expected to leave interest rates unchanged at its policy decision. Still in Europe, Russia has opened its annual International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg, drawing participants from over 140 countries and territories, primarily from Asia, the Middle East, and South America. The forum features discussions on expanding economic cooperation through the BRICS framework as Russia shifts focus towards non-Western partnerships. President Vladimir Putin is set to speak Friday, likely addressing sanctions on Russia's global economic strategy. The Federal State Statistics Service has reported that Russia's consumer price inflation registered 0.4% month-on-month and 9.9% year-on-year in May 2025. This reading was higher than anticipated, interrupting a recent trend of inflation curbing away from 10%. Despite the surprise, the Central Bank of Russia proceeded with a 100 basis point cut to its key interest rates on June 6th. Bringing it to 20% from a record high of 21% maintained since October 2024. Analysts attribute May's elevated inflation largely to the services sector, even as non-food good prices declined for a second consecutive month, supported by a strong ruble. Moving on to Asia, where China's central bank has announced 8 new measures aimed at further opening up the country's financial sector. Unveiled by the People's Bank of China Governor Pan Gongsheng at the annual Luzhou Forum. The initiatives included establishing an interbank trade repository, setting up an international digital renminbi operations center to promote its global use, and launching a comprehensive reform pilot for offshore trading financial services in Shanghai's Lingang special area. The measures are intended to boost Shanghai's role as a financial hub, improve macroeconomic regulation, and expand financing channels for Chinese firms going global, among other goals. The head of People's Bank of China has pledged to expand the international use of its digital yuan. It's also called for the development of a multipolar global currency system where several currencies dominate the world economy. People's Bank of China Governor Pan Gongsheng stated that the country will establish an international operations center for eCNY in Shanghai. Pan added that digital technologies have exposed weaknesses in the traditional cross-border payment system, which are less efficient and vulnerable to geopolitical risks. Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov in Astana, pledging to deepen strategic cooperation and align development strategies ahead of the China Central Asia Summit. Xi emphasized boosting trade, investment, and connectivity, especially the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway, while expanding cooperation in green energy, AI and culture. Japarov reaffirmed support for the One China principle and welcomed further Chinese investment. Both leaders committed to stronger coordination in global platforms like the SCO and the UN. The meeting concluded with the signing of multiple bilateral agreements covering agriculture, customs, science, and media. New Zealand and China have inked a tourism cooperation deal as Prime Minister Christopher Luxon kicked off his first official visit to China. The agreement aims to boost Chinese visitor numbers to New Zealand, as Luxon emphasized the need to reinvigorate the tourism market post-COVID. Luxon, making his first official visit to China since taking office in November 2023, highlighted the strong political ties between the two nations, noting that ongoing dialogue with Chinese leadership is key to expanding trade and addressing global challenges. The visit follows New Zealand's announcement of a 12-month visa waiver trial for Chinese travelers arriving from Australia, following China's visa-free policy for New Zealanders last year.